joined here by Cinderin, of course, the most knowledgeable Dane we have in this event. And it's your own boys as well.
Oh, nice. I was muted. Okay.
Yeah, I give you sound.
I just said absolutely.
Did you?
Yeah.
Not that.
Milk has actually been on point today. I think Milk has had his best performance so far on the panel.
Please don't say things like that.
It's not that difficult, though, to up his previous performances, but today he's been making some...
We have also been seeing a very stable drafting scene coming out. Like, I know you're talking about it when we're going through our draft right now. It's like, oh, maybe we'll see something like the Lifestealer come up as that combination to go with the Broodmother and the Queen of Pain. We can go for something that CDEC, like, they tried once, and it sort of worked. I'm trying to be as polite as I can about that.
I would have loved the Lifestealer in this game, just because obviously they didn't know the Alchemist was coming from Miracle at that point, but I think it's good against Tiny, it's good against Undying, it's okay against Shaker, and they had a vehicle for it through a Queen of Pain potentially, or by taking it in with the Tusks. There were a lot of ways they could have utilized it, but they might have just lost faith in it after the last game.
There is a big standoff right now here inside the Radiant jungle. The shards will fly. They'll separate Moon a little bit. Remember, he's still got that future, and they throw it down aggressive. Has to cut through the tree line, but you've got your Avalanche already slowing down aggressive. When you went Shadow Strike first, there's no blink away. They're going to get the kill. The Decay Fly kicks in, and OG, not only do they get off to a good start, they didn't have to put a point up on that Alchemist until now, so he'll get the Bounty Rune with the Greaves bonus. Maybe something even bigger, too, is the fact that Sentry Ward planted down right now by the Wyvern, it will not scout out the Observer Ward, so the 30-second camp will be blocked as well.
This is where, if you're a CDC, you just don't challenge. They are a very aggressive team by nature, they love fighting, but I'm really surprised they chose to even throw out that Shadow Strike. They have a Broodmother at the top rune, so they know there are only 4 heroes there, and their level 1 is way inferior to what OG could throw at them, so they got a freebie there. They get the rune for Miracle, like you said, so that's absolutely crucial for him in order to stand against the Viper in lane. I still think this matchup is Viper favored, even with the Bounty Rune going Miracle's way, but it's a start.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but at the same time, it's the old phrase we have with the Alchemist. Nothing has really changed with his greed. It's all about just getting those Bounty Runes secured, so I'm interested to see how well OG are going to get these rotations off. The Earthshaker can keep a little bit of attention down the bottom lane, but the Wyvern will normally be able to control that bottom rune, depending on the timing. And Crit, with no early bottle over on this IO, maybe getting runes won't be as important to him, except just blocking it out from CDEC.
Moonmeander's actually dropping very, very low here. He might want to go back to base. He uses the Tango to stay alive against the Shadow Strike, and yeah, it's going to be a full retreat. So it's going to have a hard time. Looks like CDC are putting more emphasis on their safe lane than usual, but of course they do have this off-lane Brood, which is something we pretty rarely see from them.
Well, it's a good focus too. When you think about it, what's going to happen if Moon doesn't really find good levels and good farm? Like, where does your initiation really kick in? He's kind of your only jump hero unless Notel goes for more aggressive build with a Blink Dagger early on, but that could limit him up against the Broodmother.
And this top lane is going to be the lane to watch. Not right now, but fairly soon. Actually, Notel gets a good toss onto XZ.
Yeah, with the dust available, they get a very quick and simple kill.
It was the lane to watch already.
They might. Well, that was a bit of a CDEC coming up for a rune contest, thinking OG might even be a little bit weaker, but that quick little moment from a Tiny. You look for those openings in the mid lane because it's a little bit more choked up, but Broodmother playing a little too aggressive.
This is a very good start for OG there. Obviously, they got the Bounty Rune that they wanted in the start. They've got 2 kills. The Tiny is easily out-farming everyone else. And now the question is, how do CDC adapt? Because they obviously don't think they can keep 3 heroes bottom, and the rotation so far is from Q to the top lane. Still doesn't have his Arctic Burn ready, though.
He's in real trouble with the Whisper damage. Actually, they don't have enough mana left over on that Tiny. The bottle's been purchased by Notel, but it's still going to come out to him on that top lane. The Flying Courier is only available in a couple of seconds. Fly, he's on the hunt, looking for Q as he would retreat out. Won't find anything, however. And the ping actually came out from Q, so he understands that Fly is there.
Oh, bottom lane, Moonmeander. Yeah, no TP out.
He's in a world of hurt. He's dead underneath that tower. The Shadow Strike will end up killing him off, but the Queen of Pain just ensures it aggressive with a good attack.
This is such a difficult lane matchup for Shaker. Even Queen of Pain versus Shaker 1-on-1 is a difficult matchup. You put this kind of support together with the Queen in this lane is just impossible. And maybe they should keep Fly a little bit more in the bottom lane and help out Moonmeander, but he's focusing a lot on top, anticipating that this Broodmother is going to get out of control pretty soon if they don't.
Well, there goes your Avalanche again, but Tiny, no mana, and also in real what hurt as Q flies right behind him. With that Soul Rip available, Notel is able to survive.
And this Soul Rip is going to be a key ability later on in the game for OG. It is a burst heal that they can throw onto the IO, which in turn will heal that Tiny a ridiculous amount.
I'm not sure you want to be doing this, Shiki. Alchemist takes that bounty rune. They get the fissure off, which means it's going to be a full duration concoction stun over on top of Shiki. Fly make it even easier, removing the life from that Viper. And OG strike again. Alchemist with the kill.
And get eyes on Garter as well.
Again, that one's a little bit more difficult. How important is it too for Garter to get a good progression? We saw Snowball saves throughout the previous series today. Up against something like that flying concoction, the initiation from OG, Snowball's going to be so critical.
He is currently sitting on level 3. Getting a little bit out of the mid lane, but so far so good for OG once again. They've got way better CS on their heroes than the counterparts on CDC. At least the Tiny is doing well. Viper is actually drawing right now with the Alchemist because of these good rotations. So they've accomplished what they want out of the lanes, apart from bottom, where I think they would hope for a bit more. But you know what? If you're not getting anything there, you can always go for a Soul Ring and try to rotate with Shaker. Of course, very good at that. Got the kill at the top rune, and now looking for the top lane. But XC is playing it very safe.
Yeah, you can't afford to feed anything else. And really, for the Broodmother, it's meant to be that whole weather the storm. Get to your Soul Ring and then just go. But you don't have to put yourself at risk to do so. Having that one death to his name, it's really something they don't want to have happen. One, because the Alchemist, is going to be getting a decent amount of farm, and the farm he does gets worth so much more because of the greed. But getting Tiny with a momentum build, that's even more dangerous for them. Because then the split push and the power of OG becomes a lot more real.
And whenever it's a no-tail Tiny, you never know what item build you're going to get. I think he has the biggest variety in item builds out of any player on Tiny, or at least the most unusual ones. He kind of alternates between his own 2 or 3 item builds that no other player goes for.
Is this one of these games? Because I know he likes to go for the Aghanim Scepter Rush. With the Wisp, he may even go for combat. But is it one of those games where you feel like you can just play the greed game? Go in for a hand of Midas build?
Well, if the mid lane is going as well as it is and Miracle is getting farmed, they could try it. At the same time, I think this game, you want to, on your Tiny, you get a Blink Dagger, you go and you're active around the map, you have Miracle give him the Aghanim Scepter as Alchemist.
Speaking of Tiny, he might be in a little bit of trouble. Garter had an Invis ring, he's coming close on Notel. The 10, however, in from crit, and that damage just cannot be inflicted by CDEC. They want to bring more up. Q was moving himself up to this top lane. This Wyvern has spent 6.5 minutes just roaming from lane to lane and only found 2 levels so far.
Man, this net worth lead they're accumulating already on mainly Miracle is what I'm looking at. There's a 2k lead for OG and 1,500 of that. Actually, all 2k are in the mid lane. That's his advantage over the Viper right now. So Miracle going for this Medallion of Courage will allow them to take Roshan very early. I think he's going to transition into maybe a Radiance straight after this to just maximize the farm and get the Aghanims for the Tiny, as mentioned earlier. And it's a really good team to have Aghs for. It's not just the Tiny. Undying benefits a lot from this item somewhere down the line, but generally we see Alchemists maybe give away one of them. You need to stay relevant yourself as well, so that's what the priority is. Yeah, bye-bye Moon.
Simple rotation, simple kill. Especially when you got that big burst damage coming out from aggressive. And they really need to almost rotate Moon off that bottom lane. Give him some holding it. He can't go top, can he? Because how are you going to get space against the Broodmother? Especially when Notal is just racking up a very offensive number of CS. A lot of it's not worth this much because it is the Spiderlings he's killing off. Like he just took out like 15 Spiderlings on the top lane and now has 75 CS in 7-8 minutes. But the Earthshaker, where else can Moon really go? You give him mid if the tower drops, or?
I think it's pretty important that he shows bottom from time to time and keeps heroes there. The fact that he gets ganked by the Tusk, and yes, he does get killed, he drains a Sonic Wave that now can't be used for a team fight for 2.5 minutes. He frees up their entire jungle, so Miracle can farm it safely. And now they can relocate bottom.
Coming in, they're coming after aggressive with a toss over. The Tiny getting the kill on that Queen of Pain. Crit didn't even inflict his damage from the balls.
And this is something CDEC aren't that used to playing against. I don't think they play against many teams that run the IO. It might be their first game in the tournament playing against the hero. And also the first team I think we've seen in the main event that didn't just first face ban IO out against OG. I believe they had the tools for it. So far, so good for OG on that, though.
It happens for a big reason. OG love their relocate kind of play. Stop bottom lane. Moon going to go down right now. Just the early initiation from Q. Dropped him low. Garda. Yeah, it's just shards. Lock him in position. So even Q as well as Garda can work together to ensure kills.
But we're not feeling the Brood have an impact just yet. That's the main thing for OG.
Well, how does
They're
he?
finding the farm. Yeah, that's the problem, because Brood can be a very big problem in the early stage of the game, but with this not happening, reaching level 7 is usually a benchmark for, okay, now you start taking over the enemy jungle, you start farming it up, but Alchemist is already in there with the acid spray, and Brood can't kill him alone. There's always the threat of the relocate. OG, obviously with the Tiny, can also farm stacks. So whenever he kills a Spiderling somewhere, they just get killed.
Might get even a little bit more concerned if that Alchemist just rotates up to the top lane in a moment. He's already completed the Solar Crest, so going up against the Broodmother is a piece of cake for him. And we are looking at that combat build coming out from Notel. So treads into drums, and eventually he'll work his way into that Aghanim Scepter.
I don't think so.
You think he'll just go directly for the Blink, maybe the casual Yasha?
He'll just go for one of Notel's alternative builds and get the Axe from Alchemist. I don't see why he would purchase that item slot when he's going to sell it later anyway. Moon.
So you're also looking at that Solar Crest as an indication that he's not, like, Moon's not going for that Octarine, Radiance, and Mana style build.
I still think Radiance is a choice, but after he went for Crest instead of just Medallion into Radiance, this makes me think he's not going that build whatsoever.
Okay.
And that is perfectly fine as long as Notel gets as big as he does. So I think this is going to be Drum into maybe a Yasha and then Moonshard, and just get the Aghanims pulled over. He's going to be absolutely ridiculous when he gets that at, say, minute 20.
I know OG really enjoyed their mid-game item builds, but that's pretty heavy in. If that doesn't work with the Tiny, the Alchemist
still just farm.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, the Alchemist just goes back to farming and gets the bonus Moolah. But how does CDEC then stop that? Aggressive? He's building in for an Orchid early on, and if that is an Orchid and an Aghanim Scepter into the Tiny, he'll never be able to kill off the Tiny. So how does CDEC ensure that? In fact, Notel's just walking his way down. They relocate in Moon, so he's able to get that Fissure over on Q aggressive. Well, he'll blink into the tree line and TP himself out. So Miracle won't be able to get that stun. And where is that relocate coming back? In fact, it's up the top lane. The Spirelings are all over him, and CDEC, they set the trap for it. A lot of heroes on top lane for CDEC.
They try to support for support. The question now is if they can start getting some significant damage on these towers. If there's one thing you don't want to have happen against the Wisp lineup is losing map control, then they just start dominating you with their split push. Now, this kill probably gave a bit of an advantage to CDEC over what OG managed to accomplish. They're not getting a collateral, not taking a tower, not setting up for Roshan just yet, but could be mid lane.
There goes your Drum Charge, easily able to close the distance between himself as well as Shiki. They commit the tombstone as well. They'll need this considering Shiki has that mech up, and the snowball actually going to flip Moon on his head. But Carter, there's no real follow-up damage. The toss a little bit off target, but Fly's got the K in 1 second time. That'll get the kill over on the Viper. So they find their opening. And they drop that Viper down now. 8k net worth over on the Alchemist. Maybe he will still just go into that Radiance because he's up to 2.2k.
I'm curious to see what he's going to do here.
Also, Notel with a heavy rotation. It did open up space on top lanes. Now XC, he's starting to get that net worth up. He's taken out that top tier 1 tower and is building in towards an Orchid. Just actually going for double Orchid builds here for CDEC.
One thing to keep in mind about that gank, though, was how hard it was for them to kill the Viper. They actually needed to commit a lot of abilities, and he almost made it out alive because of his mech. So if he gets treads, or if there's backup next time apart from just the Tusk, that's got to be a little bit worrying for OG, how much they actually already need to invest.
Avalanche going to connect with the toss up into the air. And the Soul Rip bonus damage arriving from Fly. They had enough to kill him off before he hit the ground. And you could see Aggressive for a moment trying to blink, but he went for the blink, which was a 180 for him. So it took a little too long to finish the animation. A Miracle got a Blink Dagger, okay. Full aggression. They're relocating up there. 10XD is, okay. They're relocating down, I should say. Looking for Q, goes for the curse, and now Tiny as well as Io. They're locked down here. The Avalanche will go. Well, actually, just the toss for the moment, and No-Tail TP's himself out. The Walrus Punch won't arrive in time from Garda to finish the job.
That's actually a little bit of a misplay here from Carter. Very unusual for him. Generally, CDC read the situations very well, but that kill is Shiki's. He's got the IO on lockdown there, should be able to solo him, and now they ran out of stun, so they couldn't get No-Tail. The bigger kill that they were setting up for by killing the IO first, and he reads the situation perfectly, just TP's out, acknowledging that, oh, that's money. Realizing that the stuns were, of course, used.
I'm kind of surprised, like, you go down there, though. Like, why would you relocate there when you had an Invis Alchemist ready to attack onto a Broodmother, which he got vision of for a bit?
They might not have had any detection on their heroes.
They had dust on the Wisp.
Crit had dust, yeah.
Yeah, he had dust.
It's surprising.
Yeah. Just picking a little bit more of maybe an easier target in their mind.
Yeah, because if they start relocating and he realizes it with Brood very quickly, perhaps he can cross into a tree line and not get spotted by the dust, and then they just waste the relocate. It is, of course, pretty telegraphed. When you're playing against the Wisp, you just keep an eye on the minimap all the time.
Well, bottom lane, they're getting ready to jump again. This is where the Blink Dagger can work for the Alchemist. Prepares the concoction, blinks, and then gets the instant stun before the Viper can reach the tree line. Queen of Pain's been killing off Moon. In the meantime, there's the attack on the Shiki that we keep our tabs on. But the Avalanche toss is a very quick kill. And with the Undying Tombstone in front of the tower, OG can keep this pressure going. Miracle will just tank up the tower. The
This is not a good trade for them.
They're actually losing their tier 2 tower on top, and the Earthshaker died in front of the tier 1 tower in mid.
Aggressive is putting on quite a bit of pressure in the mid lane too. They do have a glyph, so they're going to force OG to stay here for another 5 seconds, and Aggressive in turn forces their glyph in the mid lane and gets pretty much half a tier 1 here as well.
They're actually TPing out.
No-Tail rotating in. It's an okay trade, I guess. It wasn't as bad as I made it sound. They will be losing this tier 2 tower at some point, so...
You wonder too if OG really care about losing as many buildings as they do, because you are running a Wisp Tiny. The ability to take out towers is pretty easy. Curse over on crit, and they just ensure the kill on him. This delays the urn at least, allowing Fly to retreat back out. That's your TP on the other side of the tree line. So the CDEC taking whatever they can get.
You know, Aggressive, in a lot of other games, he would have just run for that Undying, but he's starting to get scared.
No-Tail just got almost 20 CS off one Avalanche toss combo. But the Viper still, like the tower, he grabs one.
And I do think CDEC are progressing their game plan very well. This is unusual for OG to be in this position when they're, nice. In mid lane.
Yeah, they use
not enough.
Do they have enough follow-up? They got the Ectosome available. They're going to commit it in fact.
No, it's enough.
He relocates in to help out. There was a Splinter Blast going, and No-Tail once more. Maybe he can toss Q back. Crit needs this relocate to end in 2 seconds time. He'll actually survive long enough in Q. The Avalanche, it comes in waves and brings down the Wyvern. Aggressive, though, is ready to fight this. He's behind with an Invis who's sitting in the river. Yes, he's a little bit more chip damage on OG to make the Sonic Wave work, but they don't really have it. And then No-Tail with a blink, moving forward, catching out Carter. And No-Tail, there might have been a little bit of time between the kills, but he still gets awarded the double kill. And now they'll even take the tier 1 tower in mid.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Is Aggressive actually going to try for this?
Radiant's middle tower.
They are pinging it out, and they do have the potential for XC to rotate down with an Orchid. He will kill Fly if he moves a little bit further up these stairs, and he is rightfully so being cautious.
He's waiting for it. Right in front. There goes your Orchid, and Fly is dead. It is actually the Aghanim build coming out from Miracle. He's 1,200 gold away from completing it. Most of it's sitting on the courier at the moment. But it looks like they are going to increase that Tiny.
It puts a lot of pressure on No-Tail to perform. I think this is one of the best heroes this early in the game to give an Aghanims to, and he's going to be out of control for a while. But if they just make 1 or 2 misplays with the Tiny and he loses his farm, you've sacrificed a lot of your Alchemist.
Is that when you want to go for more defensive item builds? Like, you know you want to be building into an Assault Cuirass at some point. Is it worthwhile just picking up that plate mail now? Or if you're going to go for Manta style, do you get the ultimate orb? Do you get that extra life?
I think Manta would be pretty nice in this game.
Miracle, real trouble. He really doesn't want to die now, but he's got no choice. The Wyvern will get the kill. He actually spent his money before death, so he doesn't lose any gold from that death. It's just the fact that CDEC are able to find yet another kill and open up more space inside this jungle, giving more space for the Broodmother to work. But Notel's getting ready to fight that mid. Garda sitting right behind him, just going to toss a little creep over. Not going to see anything apart from Rashiki trying to kill it off.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They took about the same damage from that, because Notel got hit by Corrosive Skin.
I wasn't lying when I said that.
Yeah, what was it? You looked it up. Corrosive Skin dealt about the same damage as Viper Strike on average per game for Viper, right?
So in all recorded games, Viper
games
Strike...
or pro games?
This is all recorded games like pro games. You're looking at 3,431 damage as an average.
You're looking at aggressive, getting...
Yeah, he's going to blink himself away. Then the Fisher from Moon keeps him out. They went in so deep with it. The curse will keep him out, but Notel, the task was still completing. Crit will relocate the Tiny. That's a little bit further back. In fact, not a little bit, all the way back to the well to keep him safe. And now Miracle blinks forward. A double concoction's on over on Shiki as well as Q. The Mech
tower is under attack.
damage for Crit, back to the fight, and well, he's going to tether himself up with Miracle. They push forward. Notel's already on a double kill at the moment. He's looking for more. Q sitting behind. He moves forward with a split of blast, but they already cost Crit 40, too far up. Viper's going to find one as this fight really splits out. Q try to keep the rest of OG on the dire side of the river, but Notel, he's just man-mowing this even when he's getting hit the Crackly. Just keeps sticking aggressive, so low as well, but he'll survive. Barely. It's not completely over. Okay, it will be with Miracle TPing out now. The Brood has no way to interrupt him.
Man, that did cost CDEC a lot, though. They bought back their Queen of Pain and their Tusk, and they ended up with kind of a draw in that fight. And aggressive. In this tournament, we've generally seen him play very controlled aggression, where he knows his limits about how far he can push it. This time he just went way overboard, blinked into a very easy fissure from Moon Meander, and he didn't even get a single spell off before he died there.
I'm a brawler in his prime.
It's arrived.
Gotta be careful.
The 20-minute Aghanim Scepter to come into Miracle. That's on top of his Blink Dagger as well as Solar Crest. But he'll be passed to the Tiny in 8 seconds' time. Also a big item for Moon. He's got that Blink Dagger, so the initiation is looking so good for OG.
I'm thinking what we might see here will be kind of similar to the game before this one, eHome versus LGD in game number 2, where all LGD needed to do was focus down the Leshrac so hard, and there was no other damage source. It's essentially the same kind of style that OG have set up now, that they've put so much damage and so much emphasis on their Tiny that if CDC can find a way of locking him down and controlling him, which their Viper, for example, is great at, then they definitely have the tools at their disposal. He went for a Midas, by the way, building into Treads now, and I think it's an axe game for Viper.
See, that's where I wonder if you've really got enough. As long as Crit holds himself back, you can relocate, save Tiny out. So you commit everything onto the Tiny, which is very difficult to do. Like, you're not going to be able to find that burst damage. It's a Viper. Like, you're not looking at burst damage from him. With the Orchid Sonic Wave from Queen of Pain, with Scream, even that is not going to drop Tiny down low enough.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I'm just questioning if the full focus strat, I can understand the point behind it, but if it's going to be enough to get the kill.
I think Broodmother will be the key to do this. If XC goes for the kind of build that we've seen from Mag in the past on Brood, where he goes for BKB and then into Deso and perhaps either a Daedalus or a Cuirass, the Broodmother starts hitting really hard. This ultimate gets 120 damage on level 3. So the damage output you can have in these fights if you're free to go is extremely high. And that's one thing OG lack in their draft. They don't have a BKB counter.
It's true. Okay, CDEC really need to get a Monkey King buff. Like, you might be talking about the Aghanims game for the Viper, but you've already got a Solar Crest on the Alchemist, and now you're getting a Butterfly build arriving for Notel.
Yeah, it's for sure that OG will be looking toward Roshan soon. They keep sending in Spiderlings here for CDC, but it's just a matter of a few seconds OG need to be off the radar to be able to claim this with, of course, the Acid Spray, Notel's massive damage output going into that Butterfly. And they can even use the Undying Ultimate Flash Golem to help out, and the Tombstone. Plenty of options for OG. They just need to get their lanes under control.
Okay, aggressive, chip it away at Notel. Doesn't want to take that risk of Notel blinking forward, so needs to also keep that Shadow Strike out. It's too easy for that Queen of Pain to die at the moment. She's not walking around with an easy buffed up Aghanim Scepter that was gifted to her, so she has to do it the old-fashioned way.
And you look at the economy, you're thinking, okay, this Tiny is ridiculously big, right? He's been pulled an Aghanim Scepter. He has 8 kills, 23 minutes in. This is the kind of stereotypical game where right now OG are ahead by 10,000 gold. In a lot of their previous matches they've played with Tiny, especially in online tournaments, they're 1,500 gold ahead. They've sacrificed the Alchemist for it, and CDC are out farming them.
They're actually behind in experience too. Like that's almost up to 3,000 going the way of CDEC. So OG, like the way they win with this game, with this lineup, is just by being really aggressive. You push down through the tier 2, tier 3 towers, and you force CDEC to fight you in an unfavorable position. And the Tiny, you're still running a 3-blink lineup. Fly's about to complete up this mech of his. And with an Aegis to the Immortal also in the hands of, I don't even want to give it to the Tiny at this point. You almost want to give it to somebody else because Tiny is just so damn big already. But they are going to give it to Notel. I'm wondering how CDEC really fights this. Like maybe the option is just don't.
Yeah.
Just split push the entire time.
They just need to delay the game a bit. They went for a Midas and Viper. That's a very clear game plan for you where you're not interested in fighting. They're closing in on the BKB on Brood. If you're OG on the other hand, you want to find a way of activating your Alchemist now. You went for this Blink fight-oriented build with Solar Crest and pulling the Ags over. Miracle has to find a way to become a threat as well.
Well, how does he do that?
It's hard to get out on the map.
Like, what build do you go for at this point? Do you still go back into your old Radiance build when you're 24 minutes into the game?
I don't think so. That's the build if OG want to slow the game down, but if that was their game plan in the first place, you should have got it earlier.
OG are doing OG things. They're building for early game, and it looks like it's going to be Vladimir's offering as his next major item. So it's all about the group up, push together as OG. They want to end this game before we hit 40 minutes. That's the goal right now for OG. If these Spirelings wait a little bit longer, they're actually trying to kill off Crit. They may get the Courier. The Courier goes to the tree line. Let's get the rest of the Butterfly on it. And the fact they just sent the Courier back now, OG.
Very good awareness here from OG saving that Courier.
It's probably Crit working it out.
Well, it's
might also be worth picking up a gem as well.
That was what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, Sin.
It's a bit surprising that they're not getting a gem. OG, I think, are in a position right now where they feel pretty confident and comfortable with the way the game is going. They obviously can't see the graphs. If they could, they might be a little more worried. But in this position, if you want to play aggressive, you need to get rid of these wards and find a way for your Tiny to get into the fights. But they keep letting the Spiderling split push. They keep giving CDC more map control than I think they need to give them right now.
It's kind of funny when you say things like that, because you look at OG's lineup and the Wisp is still fairly strong. So why don't you just throw the Wisp and Tiny onto one lane and push with the other 3 and split CDEC up. Like, Tiny starts attacking now into the mid lane. Notel actually gotta be careful. The charge is locked him in the tree area, and he may just burn this Aegis Immortal without anything. The Fissure keeping Q off. And actually, it looks like he will be okay with Crit arriving. OG took a little longer to get there, and maybe that's one of the reasons why. Get isolated for a little bit, and that Tiny not as tanky as you'd think. And in fact, are they gonna... Yep, it's gonna be a relocate. They're going up to top lane. They're looking for that kill over on Shiki. Shiki just attacking into the IO straight away, but the damage output, Crit needs a little bit more regeneration. But it looks like it'll end up being a 1-for-1 trade, but it's a Viper for a Wisp. So favorable for OG.
Yes and no. Yeah, they kill a core, right? Most of the time you would say, okay, they traded a core for support, that's a bad trade. But with Wisp off the field and relocate down, it opens up options for CDC to explore the map a little bit now and try to get some control out.
See, the concern I then have is the way OG can get even more is the fact now they can push. The Vlad's is done.
That is true. There's a tier 1 top, yeah. They'll probably get more out of this then.
And the Brood hasn't got enough momentum. Hexy's farming up Ancients at the moment. There's no split push coming out. The tier 1 tower's still alive for OG on the bottom lane. And Notel, it doesn't take him long to beat through towers like this.
No. CDC looks like they don't want to let him have it for free. They want to learn at least the Aegis.
They will be able to do that. Notel cleaning up most of the way before that and aggressive. Actually triggered his BKB after the Aegis Immortal's gone. Concoction not being prepped just yet by the Alchemist. And in fact now, well, Notel, how much damage has he got? The rest of OG, they're coming in here. Concoction's on onto aggressive, combining with the Ecrosame. Follow-up Fissure. Aggressive as well as Garda. They're going to die almost instantly. The Glimmercake keeps Garda alive on sub 20 life, but OG's already found the 2 kills. Notel surviving after the Aegis burn. Garda will TP out safely, but she keeps in more trouble. The chase keeps coming from OG. They're all on that Viper. 3 heroes down, the 3 cores for CDEC. And this is on top of now the Tier 1 and soon-to-be Tier 2 tower.
Yeah, this could be Rax. It is Rax. Like, what are you going to do? You've lost... You have 3 cores for 30 seconds against a Tiny this big already. I think it's going to take some absolutely miraculous play out of these 2 supports for CDEC to defend the base right now. If OG are just going to... They're actually going to go back. They're scared of the buyback, so...
It's
CDEC get away... They don't get away with murder, but they could have been killed way harder.
And they're just going for the safe. They understand they can pick up their new items. They get back to their farm. There's no reason to give CDEC a way back into this. You finish now that moonshot on the Tiny. He hits so quick, so hard.
Yeah, that's without overcharge right there. It's pretty scary. I want to point out about that fight. Aggressive, like you mentioned, he popped his BKB early. He was scared of getting comboed by Tiny, so it is understandable. But then the bigger mistake in that fight from him is that he didn't get Sonic Wave off. He got a little bit greedy. He wanted to wait until more heroes grouped up, and then his BKB expired. And when he was about to Sonic Wave, Moon immediately identifies the opening, goes in for a great 2-hero Echo Slam follow-up, and they just clean up the fight from there.
There's also such patience from OG. The fact that Tiny was down so far away from the rest of his team. After the Aegis Immortal goes, he finds himself moving towards the Radiant base. And OG, they waited so long. That's why I look towards Miracle. I'm like, okay, it should be Concoction blinking now, right? No. It's a 5 to almost 10-second wait, letting the Tiny take up any more of the control that CDEC had. And in fact, Tiny, looks like we're going to be building into what I can only assume is a Satanic for him. There's no reason to have a casual Morbid Mask. See, can they even kill him? You don't have the
Mask of Madness?
No.
What's its attack speed right now? It's 312 with the tether without overcharge. So with overcharge, it's... Is that about almost 400? I don't think Mask of Madness is that good. But he might just keep the mask and get another item. He could go into a BKB if he thinks it's worth it. It's probably not the choice in this game. So maybe you just keep the Morbid Mask and you get a damage item first and then Satanic later.
That's an option. But he might also want to have that strength of the Satanic now.
Oh, it's definitely a good item.
Blink up. See? There's no detection.
No gem.
The question is asked again, where is the gem for OG? It's like Pocket Change to an Alchemist. But then again, Miracle has sacrificed himself so hard in this game. But he's still sitting at the second highest net worth on the field. Obviously dwarfed by this 22,000 net worth Tiny.
Fissure from Moon Meander tried to steal a little bit away there. I think he got 2 Spiderlings. Something.
Worth it.
I mean, why not?
Looks like OG's going to group up again.
It's a very clear game plan, though, here from CDC. They've got 3 BKBs, they've got a Glimmer Cape on the Tusk, and of course the Wyvern is a great pick against Tiny in general. All that physical damage you can block. Brace, you can curse him to his IO, or vice versa is generally better than Tiny just kills IO very easily. Speaking of that, the IO and Tiny find a very easy kill on the Broodmother. Was that was without detection?
It was underneath an observer ward. He was farming up the camp and then they just moved over. Like, it wasn't even a relocate. You've still got that Blink Dagger on Tiny, so you reveal yourself a little bit. You just get popped. And really, would CDEC think there's going to be an observer ward up there? OG are taking so many frontal towers, you'd expect there to be dire observer wards all over the front lines, up on top of that cliff looking towards the secret shop, over on the bottom cliff looking into the Radiant jungle. It's... With that little defensive ward almost at the end of its life, does its work for OG. And
I actually think killing Brood is a big deal. It's a bigger deal than in a lot of other games, because he's one of the key single target heroes that CDEC need to deal the damage to Tiny. So until he gets a damage item, we saw in the previous fight, it just took him so long to lay into the Tiny, and that was even without IO being there for an overcharge to help him out. So he might be the biggest kill they can find right now, better than Viper or Queen of Pain.
I love how OG are capable of scouting out wards, but they're incapable of killing them off. You've only got one range hero in the entire of the OG lineup, and that is the IO. And putting him in a place of jeopardy to get rid of that ward they just found inside the Radiant jungle? Yeah, no. But OG, who cares about vision when you can just push that shot? He's meant to be a boss, but he's looking like a kitten.
They have AC as well on Miracle. I think No-Tell's attack speed was 408. So that's pretty fast.
It is.
And the way he just dealt with Roshan is about half of that is how he's going to deal with your tier 3 tower.
And if they give Notel, like this creep wave and the next one on bottom lane, then into the tier 2 tower on bottom 2, which doesn't take long, that Satanic may be done before OG try and push high ground. In fact, what's coming on the courier, I take it back, it's already done. He already had the recipe on the courier, just near the 3200. So not only does he have the Satanic, but there's also buyback for the Tiny.
This is the true test for CDEC. If they can defend this, they have a chance in the game, but it could end right here.
Well, aggressive starts with the Orchid. Honey doesn't care though, like you still got that Aegis the Immortal. The creep wave does go down very quickly, however, so that's one good clearance, but I don't think Notar really cares. He jumps forward. Miracle stays close enough that the Assault Cuirass has the effect on the tower, which makes this push from Tiny even more effective. And now he goes in again. They keep burning their orchids to try and chip away at this Tiny, but he really just does not give 2 hoots. There goes your tier 3 tower, and aggressive getting stunned by the Fincher. He just gets cleaned apart. The tough guy will snowball himself in the Miracle. He's there for the stun, and Notel finally the Fisher will get out of there so he can start attacking on the new targets. But okay, he just finds Q. The cold embrace will protect him from the physical damage, but they isolate Shiki. Tossing him up, done to a turn. OG, they get even a perfect Fisher on XZ as well as Q. There's nowhere to run to. They actually get the Gem of True Sight that's been dropped. They're going to have all the vision in the world. Notar can't find more, and they got to look for the GG push. They won't wait, and the GG comes out from CDEC. They say no more. Tiny be too strong.
CDEC willingly gave away that IO, thinking they could beat the IO Tiny. They couldn't?
No, they couldn't. But it was also their combo. The fact that you're able to have that timing. OG do this time and time again. They understand how and when they can win the game. They draft for it, they itemize for it, and they execute it perfectly. This is probably a good reason why a lot of people can love OG. They are a team of timing.
Yeah, they just set it up so nicely. The IO and Undying with all the heals. Not only for the Tiny, we also saw in that last fight Fly actually saved the IO. I don't think it mattered at that point, but it still looks good. They go for the full aura build on Miracle with AC and Blitz, and then of course they crest up the Tiny for the push. He just becomes an unstoppable force in a 30-minute game. 400 CS.
It's unbelievable. Slightly inflated by the Broodmother, but still a fantastic game for OG. Let's get the thoughts of the panel to see, to see the EC stand a chance in game 2.
Thank you.